Mike Gill, State of Corruption. You know who doesn't believe in corruption? The corrupt. Right. Why can't you have one politician, other than me and Aaron Day, turn around and say, there's corruption in this state? Ask any politician. They won't even give you an answer. They won't tell you there is, and they won't tell you there's not. Well, I have. Right? You're going to see that I'm engaged with the criminals that run this state. I'm engaged right now with the drug dealers that are in this state, the crooked politicians that run this state. We're engaged, and you get to see who they really are. Now, we have a hearing with Shaheen and Gordon, Griner, Anagos, and Cruz. There are your principles. Now, you're going to hear Steve Gordon from Shaheen Gordon argue that all those situations that I said, all the people that I said were guilty, that I was lying, fabricating it. In fact, he used the word preposterous. In fact, I'm going to now have you hear his own words.
Mr. Gill made statements, false statements, in fact, accusing the firm, Bill Shaheen, Senator Shaheen, along with a host of other law firms and public officials of criminal conduct. Because he made these false statements accusing the firm of engaging in criminal conduct, it is his position that we have an interest in the litigation and thus should be disqualified. That proposition is simply preposterous.
Preposterous. Well, one of us are lying. Either I'm a liar or Steve Gordon is. One of us is not telling you the truth. He's saying I'm telling you senators are corrupt, banking commissions are corrupt. I'm even saying Bill Shaheen and Gordon is corrupt. There's got to be something wrong with me, right? Well, what if we have evidence right here? Not just evidence, absolute evidence. You know, an admission of guilt. Let's go over shortly who's on it, all right? But let's start by saying the representative of the corrupt was Bob Curley from Curley & Curley. He's representing Morris Mahoney. And Morris Mahoney was representing all the other law firms, the AG's office, the banking department, the IRS, Divine Mill, all of those. Okay? So let's get the picture. These are all the people that says, Mike Gill's crazy. Right? Can't be true. If what he's saying is true, it means we're all corrupt. Now, I told you I refused $50 million. Now, we're going to attach all these documents to this video. It says my client is willing to settle this matter for $50 million. I'm good with the money. But there are a number of conditions attached to the settlement, however. If the first condition is not agreed upon, all the parties remain moot. Meaning, I got conditions. Meaning, I'm not going to leave this state in charge of criminals. And I'm not going to turn my back on the people of this state for any amount of money. Now, this is in writing, and you get a copy. Well, once you agree to this, then you go into another document. See, right here. You will see this is attachment. This is the physical release. These are the initial disclosure of defendants of Morris Mahoney. Persons of Morris Mahoney may use to support their claims and protect them. Okay, so here's a list of names that are asking for a release. Now I remind you, they wanted to make you think these are ancient times. This is dated July 26, 13. Right. Now also is the confidentiality agreement that goes with it. Meaning, if I agree to this, I can't even tell Jesus what's going on, what these criminals have done. right? They all got their names on it. So let's go over the list. Mike Gill's lying, he said, right? Is that what you said, Steve Gordon? Well, let's take a look on the list. Sarah Gill's on the list. Just happens to be my ex-wife. Now, didn't I tell you they took advantage of her? Right. Steve Tober, he's on the list. Maybe you remind you that I told you that he was corrupt. He was my wife's attorney. He was the one getting him through statutes of limitations. He wants a release. Jim Tenn, my divorce attorney from 10 and 10, right? New Hampshire Bar President, right? He wants a release. Dave Dupree. He was my lawyer too, from McLean Law Firm. Remember I told you how corrupt McLean is and in control? Well, they want a release. Wow. Tim Coughlin, another divorce attorney. Now, what is it with all these that they want a release from all criminal wrongdoing? Well, let's see how. Matt Kozel, the ex's attorney, Ronna Wise. She was her attorney too. Remember I told you they destroyed the records? Well, there they are. What would they want a release from if they didn't destroy the mental health records? Alex Walker, the guy suing me, who I said tried to murder me. Well, he wanted a release. He was the president of Divine Millimat. Dallas Sedgwick, another one of my attorneys, who went and told me what was going on and is in hiding in Oklahoma. She wants a release. Remember, I want you to remember the words of Steve Gordon. Preposterous. Well, let's go on. Jonathan Ross. Maybe you remember the You Be the Jury. These are the same times that Judge McHugh kicked the whole thing out. Asked the jurors to leave because I was kicking his ass. Right. And now they're trying to take my house off a 1 month's bill, right, on criminality. Well, Jonathan Ross wants a release. Henry Hyder, another attorney that I told you Walker extorted, he wants a release. Maria Pursuto, the same woman who's so worried about her life, who called the state of New Hampshire and the officials in New Hampshire evil, she needs a release. Bob Jutras, another one of my divorce attorneys, whose job was to get him through statutes of limitations. He wants a release. Listen, I'm not making all this up. This is signed, by the way, too. Let's keep going on. Maurice Gilbert worked for Divine Millimat, the DRA. Didn't I tell you he was corrupt? Go back to all my videos. Now, I remind you, too, we found this 2 weeks ago in one of our ex-attorney's computer. I was never meant to see this after I told him to go stuff it. John Sparkman, the VP of Divine Millimat. Larry Schwartz, only the accountant on the tax returns that I told you was forged. Grant Thornton, who took the company over, who knew it was criminal. Lisa Tracy. Now, why would Lisa Tracy want a release if what I wasn't saying was true? Right? Don't forget Lisa Tracy. Do you know the case with Shaheen and Gordon in front of the judge? His recusal was Rosenberg. Who do you think Lisa Tracy's attorney was? Rosenberg. They needed someone to trust to leverage Lisa for the silence of Shaheen and Gordon. Right. You see these text messages right here? Remember the ones that threatened my kids' lives? This is Ted Little. You see an email between Ted Little in 2013 and Shaheen and Gordon Nolan trying to get the evidence that he said in the text that they destroyed. What if I can tell you you showed legal documents about your divorce you have never seen before? This is the same guy who was requesting the files from Shaheen and Gordon. This is why they're protecting their own criminality. Ranging from Mr. Walker to your ex to Lisa Tracy to the attorney that represented her and Jim. So the person that worked for me asking the files that they destroyed is also telling me in text messages that he's afraid for his life and that he can give me this. The same guy he can give me is the same recusal for the judge. Okay, let's go on. We've got more names. Preposterous, remember? Tony Aguirre, another attorney. There was a mole. Tim Powell. Wow, wait a minute. Tim Powell's only an IRS agent. Remember the same one that everybody thought was crazy, saying, what, the IRS? That's right, they use the IRS and leverage them. That's what Shaheen does. And that's why Tim Powell of the IRS wants his release. Dr. Prasad, remember the therapist that I said had the records? Well, why does he want one if they didn't know they were destroyed? R.P. Saunders. Uh-oh. You know where R.P.'s from? Shaheen and Gordon. Right, who corrupted the divorce, who leveraged for the $100,000. This was Bill Shaheen's boy. Tom McMillan, another attorney. Rob Fitzgerald. He was only the computer expert. Remember I said they were getting into my files? Who do you think was breaking in? Friedman. John Friedman's the only one that I said in deposition. He said the banking commission was the worst, the most corrupt he's ever seen. Right? So was he. He wants a release. Little. You know who Ted Little is? The text master who's afraid for his children's life. He wants one too. Donald Smith, the lawyer from Wiggins. Jerry Edelton, lawyer from Wiggins. James Filler, IRS. Tom Roberts, IRS. Well, Marissa DeLinks, the lawyer for Dallas Sedgwick. I mean, we're into, what, 4 generations of corruption. I guess if this don't work, who's left? I don't know. We're fighting Gordon and Bill Shaheen now. I think the only ones left might be Satan. Nick Alexander, Eric Renner, my attorneys for Morris Mahoney. Mark Hartley. He's the top guy at Morris Mahoney. He wants a release. But I want you to pay particular attention to the next 10 entities. Right here. Okay? So I just gave you a bunch of lawyers and so forth. And politicians. Williams and Conley. The whole company wants a release. Their accountant firm. Divine Millimat. Wait a minute. Walker, the guy suing me, they want a release. Wiggins and Norrie, the same people take him out, they want a release. The Internal Revenue Service. Hold on. The IRS wants a release from me. Now, when I told you they were covering up, they had a mole in the company, that was hard to believe. Even when you heard them on the phone, forgetting to hang up, saying there was a mole, they want a release. New Hampshire Banking Department. Uh-oh. What did we say what they were doing? Only money laundering and protecting the drug dealers. Then tell me why they want a release. The New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration. You know, the ones who's been leveraging me for my silence for over, 12, 14 years? They want a release. You see what I'm saying here? Now I want you to notice this one last name that I've been saving for you. And that is Bill Shaheen. Bill, you want a release. You and RP. And that goes to 2013. So it isn't all that long ago. Right? Here you are here, Bill. William Shaheen wants a release in 13. July of 13. All right? So here you go. So boys and girls, I want you to see this too. Ready? This is signed by them. Here is the disclosure that they wanted me to sign and you didn't see me sign because I didn't sell you out. You see the people on that name? On that page? That should tell you the level of the risk that we have in this state. That is a signed confession. They just couldn't imagine someone would say, stuff 50 million. Well, here's the evidence. And they signed it, boys and girls. We found it in one of the attorney's computers. There's no doubt. And there's no doubt that Shaheen and Gordon are trying to cover this up. That was in 13. I've been fighting these guys for over 10 years. We are right in our sights. We have them exposed. I am telling you, there's a cross current going on in this state right now that we have got to stand up and fight together. Thank you.